Live from our news hub here at Desawe Kanda in Accra, this is News 360. Good evening and welcome. My name is Aisha Yakubuhali.
And my name is Kwesi Asari. And coming up in the next 60 minutes.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
President Mahama gives firm assurance that Ghana will not be plunged into another power crisis under his administration.
Also coming up, possible vacancy for majority leader in Parliament as current occupant Dr. Kese Latoforsen is nominated as Finance Minister.
Still ahead in the bulletin tonight, Minority Caucus in Parliament calls on President John Dramani Mahama to take decisive action against what they describe as a recent wave of lawlessness allegedly perpetrated by NDC loyalists.
In business this evening, Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research urges Finance Minister nominee to foster collaboration with technocrats.
And elsewhere on the continent, Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara says he would consider seeking a fourth term in office later this year if his party backs his candidacy. We've got details over these stories and many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on X.
Let's settle for the details now. President John Dramani Mahama says his administration will not in any way impose further hardship on Ghanaians with Dumso. We're just 2 days after kick-starting officially as president, his administration has been faced with an imminent power crisis. On his second day of work, he has given the firm assurance that Ghana will not be plunged into darkness.
The president marked his first public engagement outside of the seat of government since his inauguration by attending the National Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Pumadzi of the Central Region, themed Justice and Peace, the essential ingredient for national development. The president used the occasion to outline his administration's vision and address key national concerns.
I would soon establish a committee to begin the planning of a national constitutional review validation conference to achieve broad consensus on the way forward for the constitutional amendments that we have all proposed. I'm going to set up a planning committee to start working on the National Education Review Conference that I promised. This conference will review our educational system right from the kindergarten through the basic to secondary to tertiary to technical vocational education and identify what the hindrances to quality education are at each level of our educational system. I believe that this conference will come out with new ideas in order to provide us the outcomes that we need as a nation.
He assured Ghanaians of his government's unwavering commitment to resolving the energy crisis and prevent a return to the era of Dumso.
Don't despair. Like I said, you elected us to solve the problems, not to put the blame on anybody else or to shoulder you with those problems.
With agriculture as a major priority for President Mahama, he expressed his desire to turn the Pumadzi enclave to a hub of agriculture. The head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, Maulvi Wahab bin Salih, says the president should seek justice for the vulnerable.
If you do so, you will be a means of conveying Islam to others, and they will draw your fellow citizens and indeed people across the world under the shade of true Islam.
Well, barely 48 hours into his presidency, John Dramani Mahama faces the urgent challenge of averting a return to the Dumsor era. Scheduled maintenance by the West African Gas Pipeline Company, WAPCO, on the West African Gas Pipeline in early February will cut Ghana's access to natural gas, which powers a significant portion of the country's thermal plants. With hydropower generation also on the decline, the country's reliance on thermal energy has increased to maintain power supply. Ghana's thermal plants may need to switch to more expensive fuel alternatives, potentially costing the government millions of dollars, while further straining an already tight budget and mounting energy debt. Now, on the magic wall right now is my colleague, Pa Kwesi Asare, to give us more understanding on this. Pa, you have been studying the data quite well. How did we get here?
Well, thanks, Aisha. So just to give you a brief sense of what we're encountering today in Ghana. So this is according to the Energy Commission. What we're seeing here is that the Commission is projecting that in 2025, there's going to be a 4% increase in electricity consumption to a little over 25,800 gigawatts per hour. So that's up from the 24,600 we had in 2024. And so that's what you're seeing currently. And this essentially got to do with electricity demand for 2025. So we expected, according to the Energy Commission, to see a 4.7% increase. Now, in terms of generation, it is anticipated that in 2025, we're going to see a 13.9% dip in generation. So in 2024, we saw a generation of a little over 9,900 gigawatts per hour. And then in 2025, that's going to go down by some 1,382 to 8,561. So, you know, essentially what we've done over the years is to rely on renewable energy, hydro, and thermal. So these are the three sources of power generation. Let's take a look at thermal now. So thermal energy is what we've had to rely on because hydro generation it's expected to dip by 13.9%. And why is that so? Because you recall in 2023, Aisha, that the Akonsombo Dam saw an overflow, and consequently, there had to be a spillage to protect the integrity of the dam. And that's how come we've had to now rely on thermal power generation. Now, according to the Energy Commission, thermal power generation is expected to go up to 16,997 from 14,500. That's an increase of about 2,000 gigawatts per hour. Now, we know that quite apart from Tullow Oil and E&I, who have provided us with gas supply, the West African Gas Pipeline is also another source of gas supply. Unfortunately, that is also undergoing a cleanup. So the West African Gas Pipeline, which runs through Togo, Benin, and Tema, will undergo a cleaning and inspection, and subsea valves will have to be replaced as a result of that. Now, this is going to lead to a maintenance of all gas in the pipeline that's going to be received in Takoradi, and there'll be a reverse flow from Takoradi to Tema as well. And so we're going to get less gas than what is available to ensure significant operational capacity. Now, moving forward, this...
what will be the implication of this maintenance on our power supply? Right.
So, Aisha, it's going to have, a lot of implications. Now, the plants that rely on gas from the Tema enclave, including Sonin, Asogli, Senpower, KTTP, and AXA, will experience supply interruptions and may need to shut down unless they can operate on liquid fuel. Now, we know that local gas production must also be reduced by the same amount to avoid excess supply. Now, in terms of power shortfall, we're going to see a significant shortfall in power generation. Now, in Accra, for instance, there'll be a shortfall of a little over 1,100 megawatts, which is enough to power Greater Accra for only 2 days. Now, the 650 megawatts will be required to maintain voltage levels, but this cannot be met with the current infrastructure.
You have given us the breakdown so far, but what options are currently available for government?
Well, so, two options, really. So, liquid fuel for dual-powered plants. So, the plants like AXA, Sonin, Asogli, and KTTP, that can run on liquid fuel, may be supplied with fuel to continue the operations. Also, the cost of liquid fuel supply is expected to go high. Now, government will have to cough up a lot of money, over 100 million US dollars, which will significantly increase the overall operational cost. And I think that's a difficulty now. And that's why we've seen John Mahama, the new president, engage in a lot of meetings. He met with the African Development Bank president and a few other people just to see how they can raise this amount of money to, buy this essential liquid fuel, that will ensure that we have power supply.
But thank you so much for that breakdown. But let's quickly move away from that. And as you may well know, the President, John Dramani Mahama, has nominated his first batch of 3 ministers for the Ministries of Energy, Finance, Attorney General, and Justice. Let's now bring you a profile of these ministers on your screens quite quickly. As you may well know, Honorable Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen is Minister for Finance Designate, and Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapo, he is Minister for Energy Designate. And then there's Honorable Dominic Aini, he is Attorney General and Minister for Justice Designate. Let's bring you these profiles quickly. Honorable Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen is Member of Parliament for Ejumako Enyen ACM. He is an economist, chartered accountant, and a tax practitioner. His expertise include public finance, microeconomics, fiscal policy, tax policy, and business management as well. In education, he has a PhD in finance from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He has an MSc in taxation from the University of Oxford. He has an MSc in economics from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology as well, and a BSc in accounting from London South Bank University. He's a 5-term lawmaker with extensive national and international exposure in finance as well. Let's move on to Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapo. He is Minister for Energy Designate and Member of Parliament for Yape Kusogu constituency. He is an expert in energy, economics, and finance. He has expertise in the energy sector transformation as well as policy management. With his education, he has a background, MSc in Energy Economics from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. He has an MA in Economic Policy Management from the University of Ghana as well. He has an MSc in Development Finance from the University of Ghana and MBA in Marketing from the University of Ghana. He has a postgraduate diploma in Finance and Financial Law from the University of London. He's known for hands-on experience and dynamic leadership in the energy sector as well. And finally, but not the least, is Honorable Dominic Aini. He is going for the position of Attorney General and Minister for Justice Designate. He is MP for Bolgatanga East. He is a legal expert and academic with extensive knowledge in constitutional and international law. Also, he has experience as a former Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice. He also served as a Member of Parliament for the Bolgatanga East constituency as well. And with his education, he holds a PhD in law, international investment and arbitration law from the University of Leicester, UK. And also, he has a Master's of Law in International Economic Law from the University of Michigan, USA. And he has a Bachelor's of Law from the University of Ghana as well. He's known for his in-depth legal expertise, eloquence, and commitment to justice and the rule of law. And soon after his announcement, Dr. Dominic Aini took to his social media. He definitely went there to post something that people found interesting. He posted a picture. He said that leadership, justice, and fairness to all is what he is looking forward to. We're hoping to bring that picture to you, and that is it. It's right there on his Facebook page. He says leadership, justice, equality, and fairness for all. And we'll definitely be looking forward to that.
Right, Aisha, let's now engage the thoughts of Chief Executive Officer at Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, on what he makes of the Finance Minister's nomination. Joe, thank you very much for joining us here on News 360. Happy New Year to you. First of all, what do you think about Kaysila Forson being nominated for the position of Finance Minister?
Thank you very much and good evening. Listen, it was an expected nomination. I think when he had the highest odds, when we looked at the pool of those who could be finance minister, because of the role he had played in the past, and also because of his role with Parliament. So it was expected. And in a lot of ways, this appointment will have the effect of calming the business sector down as to what to expect. Why? You can tell, we all know that we are in the middle of a major economic downturn, a downturn where we've not paid our debts. And this new government was immediately plunged into a mini crisis to do with energy and the possibility of doom so. In this instance, someone with a cool head and cool demeanor as Dr. Kaysila Forson will be very valuable in this position. It's not, there's going to be a lot of pressure. There's going to be a lot of emotional shouting and screaming around him. But we do appreciate the fact that he will come to this job with a cool demeanor. He will most probably have listened to a lot of opinions and then help take the final decision.
Finally, before I let go of you, Mr. Joe Jackson, there are those who've said that the president doesn't seem prepared for the position, and that, of course, you heard them in Parliament say that he was releasing the nominees what do you make of that? I mean, there are about 60 ministerial positions up for grabs, and he's only named 3 of them.
Listen, I think that that's an unfortunate comment to make. And why do I say so? This government has been barely in power for 48 hours, and yet there's a mini crisis. I'm sure that if the president was waiting to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, we will not have a team in place to take charge of the mini crisis that we have at the moment. Of course, it will dribble in because immediately you get on board, there's a mini crisis on hand. I really don't see anything wrong with releasing what is required immediately to help solve the mini crisis that we found ourselves in. And I think that, in a sense, we should stop trying to declare this government as not effective barely 48 hours into their tenure. It's too early. We should have a little bit more patience, and we should put aside our overly partisan political hats and wear a hat that will help bring us all together and build this nation from the depths that it has sunk.
I'm afraid we have got to leave it here. Thank you very much, Joe Jackson, for your time.
Thank you too very much.
A reminder, so watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. You're free to share your comments and views with us on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on X.
We're still staying in Parliament, where the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, has referred the 3 ministerial nominees to the Appointments Committee for consideration and report. The Minority Chief Whip, a member of the Appointments Committee, Frank Anodompre, has urged the nominees to adequately prepare for the vetting process. Minority Leader Alexander Penyumaking is meanwhile dissatisfied with the President's approach of appointment.
In accordance with Article 78(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, 1992, I hereby, on behalf of His Excellency John Mahama, submit for consideration and approval of Parliament the following nominees for ministerial appointments. The nominees' credentials and records of service demonstrate their competences to support the government's agenda and serve the people of Ghana effectively. Honorable members, I will accordingly refer the said nominees to the appointment committee for consideration and report to the House. It is so referred.
Let me remind His Excellency the President that this is 3 out of 60, so we have 57 outstanding. And Speaker, when you said there is a correspondence, a message from the presidency, suddenly the majority side was dead silence. And I saw people praying. We can only wish you well. But however, the president has made it abundantly clear that he will not go beyond 60. I want to commend your good self and leadership for being proactive when we took the decision to put together the selection committee and the appointment committee and the business committee in anticipation of these nominees coming. We on the minority side will be ready for you at the appointment committee. We want to caution your nominees to come prepared. It's not going to be business as usual. Come prepared. I hope you will be prepared when you appear before the appointment committee.
When the names were read out by Mr. Speaker, he read out only 3 names. This appointment is unacceptable. We expect them to be ready from day one. You cannot start energy, finance, attorney general. When are the rest of the ministers? You must be ready. We want to hear Ama Kofi Bua. We want to hear Agric. We want to hear Agric Ministry. We want to hear roads and highways. We want to hear lands and natural resources.
Honorable
we
Minority
want to hear
Leader.
Education.
The majority in Parliament is likely to see some changes in its leadership following the appointment of the current leader, Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen, as Minister-designate for Finance. Now, in January 2023, the National Democratic Congress made controversial changes in its caucus leadership, replacing Haruna Idrisu with Dr. Atuforsen. Now, with the current ministerial appointment ongoing, Christian Yale, my colleague, highlights some potential names to take over from Kaisel Atuforsen.
The appointment of Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen as then minority leader raised simmering tensions within the NDC. Some had argued that Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu, as well as the Asawase MP Muntaka Mubarak, were stronger faces for the caucus. But the party then in January 2023 explained that the changes were very necessary. Today, Dr. Atuforsen has been appointed for the Finance Ministry, and already names are popping up for a potential successor. For instance, Adaklu MP Kwame Gavin Sagbuja, as well as the South Dai MP Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo have been taped for the role. Some even expect a potential return of Haruna Idrisu, but in all of this, the minority leader, Alexander Fenyomakin, has his own list.
Kwame Agboja is going to roads and highways. Yeah, we know Ahmed Ibrahim is going to local government. And a lot of you will remain at the backbench. Honorable Achampon, Mr. Speaker, he has done so well. Yes. I will be surprised if he's not sent to the Ministry of Finance as deputy. I will be surprised. I will be surprised. And Dr. Apak is definitely going to education as deputy education minister. Mr. Speaker, we know. That's why I know Honorable Ayariga is going to assume the black chair. And his deputy is my good friend, Kweku Rickett. Because, yes, Kweku is going to be the deputy minority leader.
For a party that has introduced Ghana's first female vice president, it is expected that at least there would be some female representation on the caucus. But you know that names like the Elembele MP, Ama Kofi Bua, as well as the MP for Banda, Ahmed Ibrahim, are not ruled out in all of this conversation. It remains to be seen the potential changes the NDC would make to its bench in Parliament.
On the other hand, the minority caucus in Parliament has called on President John Dramani Mahama to take decisive action against what they describe as a recent wave of lawlessness allegedly perpetrated by NDC loyalists. The caucus is demanding an immediate directive to law enforcement agencies to arrest and prosecute individuals involved in attacks on state institutions, as well as public and private citizens.
According to the group, NDC loyalists have recently unleashed acts of violence and intimidation, threatening to erode the country's democratic values.
In recent weeks, individuals believed to be loyalists of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, have unleashed acts of violence, intimidation, and anarchy that have left our citizens and institutions under siege. These carefully coordinated actions, far from protecting public interests, represent a dangerous descent into lawlessness.
Deputy Minority Leader Patricia PJ holds President John Dramani Mahama accountable for these acts, citing the establishment of Operation Oral as a contributing factor.
These acts of terror and violence, as shocking as they are, cannot be viewed in isolation. They are deeply connected to the actions or lack thereof of President himself. Even before President John Dramani Mahama officially took the oath of office, he set a dangerous tone for governance by establishing the so-called Operating Recover or Loot. This committee has no legal or constitutional foundation.
Patricia PJ further urged President Mahama to demonstrate leadership by directing law enforcement agencies to act decisively.
Indeed, the President has a solemn duty to act as the protector of all Ghanaians. It is deeply disheartening that in the face of these troubling developments, the President has remained largely silent since taking office. The President must demonstrate leadership by condemning these acts unequivocally and directing law enforcement agencies to act decisively.
Elsewhere, Ghana's 9th Parliament brings a record number of young and first-time MPs raising questions about balancing fresh perspectives with experienced leadership. Now, can they adapt quickly to meet the demands of governance? My colleague Enyonam Haliga filed this report.
Ghana's Parliament is young, only seeing its 9th in the 4th Republic, and so the requirements on expertise for the second arm of government to maintain its stronghold on the executive in policing the public purse and passing laws continue to dominate its functions. The 9th Parliament is, however, seeing its youngest ever set of MPs and first-timers. As many as 40 of the 275 so far sworn in are under the age of 40, with close to 80 being first-timers. This, according to parliamentary watchers, pose a significant challenge for the legislature in its work. A fact that's not lost on these first-time legislators.
There is a truth of longevity, which is very important. The longer you stay here, the better you appreciate the works of the House. It is true. But I have also known a few people who have been here for 2, 3, 4 terms who still don't know the rudiments of the House.
For these first-timers, they will seek to learn quickly on the job.
I expect to learn a lot. I will not rush. I'm not someone who rush into doing things. I will serve my seniors who have been there years before I came. I will listen to them, how they go about the parliamentary businesses. They'll be picking up one after the other.
But does the job of a parliamentarian allow for mistakes?
We are not perfect. Even some 3-term MPs still speak and they make some mistakes with regards to the standing orders. And for example, this current parliament, we are going to start with a new standing orders. So this standing orders is kind of new to all of us.
But why has Parliament consistently been a battleground for new entrants and politicians? For Dr. Rashid Rahman, Constitutional reforms are a must to safeguard Parliament as a safe haven for politicians.
I hope that with the numbers that they have, today we heard our president talk about some of the reforms that he wants to undertake, including some of the constitutional matters that there are so many candidates in our constitution that are long overdue for reform.
Fourth-time Member of Parliament Kantamanto believes guidance, particularly by experienced legislators, can make the 9th Parliament successful.
Away from Parliament, the Electoral Commission has postponed the recollation of results in the Ablekuma North constituency again for the 6th time. On January 8, 2025, the returning officer Vincent Obeng announced his resignation, citing frustrations during the collation process.
The regional office of the Electoral Commission are here at Ridge, and what appeared to be the continuation of recollation of results of the Ablekuma North constituency has been called off, so we can't really tell when exactly the Electoral Commission will come up with a new date. But police visibility is quite high due to the intended exercise. And what we can also tell you is that the constituents of the constituency are still without representation in Parliament, because it appears that there's some sort of standstill in EC's quest to declare the winner of the just ended elections. And so both parliamentary candidates, the NDC and the MPP, and Robin Orbin, have all claimed that they are victors of the just ended elections. And so they're going to fight to the latter to ensure that the Electoral Commission declares them winners. But on the part of the returning officer, that's Vincent Orbin, he says he's done with collation of that very constituency. And so the Electoral Commission should come up with a new returning officer. The EC has reacted to that. They're also saying that they are going to ensure that they resolve the tension in that very constituency and reinstate the returning officer to ensure they finalize collation of results in that very constituency. So
elsewhere, trading activities are resumed at Kantamanto market 1 week after a devastating fire destroyed the entire market. Joseph Armstrong Gold Alogbe reports that while reconstruction work is still ongoing, some traders have begun selling under the incomplete structures.
Traders here at Kantamanto in the Greater Accra region have resumed work 1 week after fire ravaged this place. Reconstruction is still ongoing, but the traders would not wait as they've all reported to work. You could see market is still ongoing right from this direction. Business is booming already after the fire ravaged this place. Gradually, life is beginning to return to this place as the traders are already here doing their business.
It's the business in Yakura, business now door because I feel like Bobo Patano. And your bomb pies, they are Banvesas and they are born in 10 Naja, Etimania and Swetima Banas and Babaton, the Senna first and Yatona. Force to the pestructures, send will be Chama, no beings will be a force in a day. I want no more. And sometimes say Papatano because I said to say we are stop bidding more. Obi twama because all bad dark but say be a strategy say ni there utwamu kro timu say o be a normal na there since ano.
This is a well-built structure that was also engulfed in the fire, and they are trying to rebuild it immediately. I've seen that they've written stop work on this particular structure here. So stop work, produce permits. So this was written on the 8th of January 2025, but work is still ongoing regardless. And you see the ex-sellers have also resumed work less than a week after fire ravaged this place.
I didn't have any goods sale. I normally sell on only Thursdays. The unfortunate incident was the man who was just burnt to ashes, 59,000 Ghana.
Gone?
Gone.
Have you received any compensation from anybody?
No. We haven't.
We are also hearing that they say you should wait for a private developer to develop this place for you so you can have a better structure here to prevent future fire. Do you agree?
Big no. A very big no.
Why do you say no?
No.
Why do you say no? Why do you say no to that? It's a good call.
A very big no.
Why no?
Because, no, with explanation.
Our great-grandmothers were here years back. It was the train which were bringing the goods here. Before we came, we want to get our privacy over here.
That's why you don't want any...
We want to have our privacy, oh boy, my big boy. We want to have our privacy here.
So for the traders, they are going to continue to do business within this setup area regardless, because this is the only place they have to do business. They are not going to wait for any government authority or state authority to come and have this place reconstructed for them because of the fear of this place being taken away from them after a private developer comes in to develop this place, which is why immediately they put themselves together to ensure that the structures are rebuilt for them to resume work immediately. Joseph Armstrong, Gold, TV3, Kantamanto, Accra.
Meanwhile, EcoBank Ghana has designed financial assistance programs to support traders who lost their worth to the Kantamanto fire. Engaging the traders, Managing Director of EcoBank, Abna Osei-Poku, said low interest rates loan facilities have been tailored to cushion their business rebound.
A ravaging inferno reduced the Kantamanto market to ashes, causing traders to lose their investments in the process. The traders are, however, struggling to reconstruct their shops so business activities can commence in earnest. On Thursday, management of EcoBank Ghana was at the Kantamanto market to engage the traders on their losses. Managing Director of the Pan-African Financial Institution, Abnos Poku, announced some programs tailored for traders. Key amongst the interventions include a low interest rate for women traders, while a support package targeted at assisting traders to acquire equipment they may need in their business has also been instituted by the bank.
Being one of the systemically important banks in our country, and of course having supported SMEs from our inception, once we heard of the fire outbreak and the repercussions for our customers, I thought it was very necessary that I lead my team to come and commiserate with them and to empathize with them, and above all of that, to show our support. And that's why we've decided to support them financially with concessionary interest rates and a moratorium and flexible interest rates. Indeed, we've also taken them through the various products and solutions we have that would help them.
A marketing manager at the Kantamanto market, Educhum, wants the bank to make available loan facilities to cushion traders.
Most of them are on loans. Before this fire, they were on loans. So tentatively, they have lost everything. It goes to suggest that at least if they want to start up the business, they will need another loan. I know that some banks, if you get a loan and you are not able to pay, they can give you more money at least to pop you so that you'll be able to turn it over to pay the loan. So naturally, the people need a loan to be able to survive their businesses.
He said next week, the market's leadership will account to the traders the cash donations received.
Reminders to watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. Before we take a short commercial break, Aisha would have some correction to make.
Yes, Dr. Dominic Aini, who is the Attorney General and designate, who has been nominated for the Attorney General position. His PhD was gotten from Stanford University in the UK rather than Leicester University that you mentioned earlier. So yeah, there you have it. Dominic Ayeni, who is Attorney General and Minister for Justice designate. His PhD was gotten from Stanford University, the UK, and not the Leicester University.
by MTN.
West Hills Ridge Property, Eden Heights.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on News 360. My name is Minu Aful. Now, the director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, Professor Peter Korte, has called on the finance minister nominee to prioritize collaboration with technocrats and adopt a consultative approach in carrying out his duties. President John Mahama earlier today nominated Dr. Kaysel Attoforsen to serve as finance minister. Speaking to 3 Business, Professor Peter Korte commended the appointment, emphasizing Dr. Forsen's qualifications and the need for inclusivity to navigate the country's economic challenges effectively.
My advice to him would be to also rely on very technical people, both at the ministry and also outside the ministry, to inform whatever he does. The finance ministry engages almost every key ministry and sector or subsector. It's not just about finance and investment, but also economic and social ramifications of government policies, tax policies, government programs. And therefore, he would have to also consult widely, consult stakeholders, especially when they are going to introduce new policies or programs. I believe some level of consultation is very key. That is something the finance ministry have not done much. Much recently, we saw improvement in the engagement with the public and with key academics and researchers. But I think more has to be done.
In more stories, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIFF, has called for the swift appointment of sector ministers to facilitate discussions aimed at improving the freight and logistics industry. President John Mahama, who was sworn into office on January 7, has pledged to appoint his 60 ministers within the first 120 days of his administration. Speaking to 3 Business, the Tema District Chairman of GIFF, Johnny Mante, emphasized the urgency of commencing government operations to drive economic recovery.
We can't wait for the appointment of a transport minister. Of course, we will also be looking at the trade minister and, of course, the finance minister, because the president of Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders has outlined certain issues and certain policy ideas that he would want to sit with these key these key ministers to be able to discuss certain issues that would essentially help the economy. Of course, the president during his campaign came to see us, and there were certain things that we discussed. So we are only waiting for these appointments, and we'll go and meet them and discuss these issues as well.
And now President John Mahama has reaffirmed his commitment to reforming the Ghana Cocoa Board as part of a broader effort to revitalize the cocoa sector. The proposed reforms aim to streamline Cocoa Board's operations, reducing its size to achieve significant cost savings and enhance efficiency. This move is expected to increase transparency and fairness in the cocoa industry.
The cocoa sector was doing very well. Unfortunately, I think the new management that was put in by this government has not been as good, and so we've seen a collapse in cocoa production. Part of it is due to climate change, but part of it is also that the farmers do not receive a fair price for their product, because if the farmers receive a fair price and they have a good income flow from cocoa, they're not going to sell their cocoa farm to somebody to come and cut down the trees and explore for gold. So those are all things we want to see what reforms we bring into the cocoa sector to cut the size of this humongous state enterprise called Cocoa Board that spends 3.4 billion cedis on itself every year, and the farmers go home empty-handed.
Well, that's it for Business on News 360. My name is Minu Afo. Stay with us. Belishan is on standby with the sports news.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News360. My name is Bill Ishen. Now on to our first story. The Ghana Football Association has charged former Executive Council member Sami Enim Ado with misconduct following his recent social media outburst on officiating in the Ghana Premier League. My colleague Mutala Yakubu has more.
Club official of Ghana Premier League side Young Apostles Samuel Enim Ado has been charged with misconduct by the Ghana Football Association following comments he made on social media. Enim Ado lashed out at the Ghana Football Association for what he described as neglect of his complaints that there's poor officiating in the Ghana Premier League. His comment comes in the wake of Accra Lions accused referee Maxwell Hansen of bad officiating and says it contributed to their defeat. Enim Ado on social media branded referee Maxwell Hansen as the man for their dirty job and even alleged that some people from the Ghana Football Association have threatened to relegate his club, Young Apostles, if he does not desist from complaining about poor officiating in the Ghana Premier League. The Ghana Football Association Disciplinary Committee released a statement this afternoon and charged Enim Ado for misconduct and says that his comments bring the name of the Ghana Football Association into disrepute. He has until January 13th to respond to the charges. Meanwhile, Young Apostles have distanced themselves from the comments made by Sami Enim Ado and says that his views and opinions does not reflect that of the club.
Now, Sudan's head coach James Kwesi Appiah has expressed his ambition to win the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. The Ghanaian tactician guided Sudan to qualification under challenging circumstances as the team played all their home games away from Sudan due to ongoing civil war. Despite the adversity, the Falcons showcased resilience and determination, securing a place in the tournament at the expense of Ghana, from whom they claimed 4 points in the qualifiers.
No, by God's grace, we've qualified now. We prepare very well and make sure we get a very good team before the AFCON. And as I've said, any competition that we go in or any game that we're playing, we will make sure we go in all out, make sure we get a victory. You know, I don't believe in the idea of taking part in a competition and then at the back of your mind you think, oh, you might go out in the first round or no. Once you're taking part, you aim for the cup. You don't aim at going in and coming out without nothing. In football, who knew that Ivory Coast will win this competition? They were almost out of the competition, but they came back to win the AFCON. So, and as I keep saying, football has come of age, and you can never underrate any team.
Well, earlier on Thursday, West Ham announced the appointment of former Chelsea coach Graham Potter shortly after showing Julian Lopetegui the door. And Lopetegui Kudus made 17 appearances for West Ham in all competitions, scoring 3 goals, and the Ghanaian talisman will be under new management. But do you know that Potter once worked in Ghanaian soil all the way back in 2007? 3 Sports takes a look at his Ghanaian connection.
Graham Potter will work closely with Black Stars talisman Mohamed Kudus at West Ham, but did you know that his connections to Ghana runs deeper? Well, it was 2007 he had called time on his career as a player and sought to go into management. He settled on the Black Queens, Ghana women's national team, as a technical director as they were preparing for the 2007 FIFA Women's World Cup. He was doing this while serving as Hull University's football development manager. After watching the team defeat Nigeria 1-0 in the Olympic qualifiers, he had a 2-week training at Pram Pram, which he described as a basic setup which makes Lil Shell looks like a 5-star hotel. He did in fact experience a blackout on his first night at the facility. The 49-year-old guided the team to a 1-0 win over South Africa in the Olympic qualifier after arriving in Pretoria on the morning of the game due to visa issues relating to his scheduled trip to China. Weeks of intense training for the competition ended in disappointment as Ghana lost heavily to Norway, Australia, and Canada in their group. Porter admitted the learning experience was tough and the final decision is never really his when he's in an advisory role. He now has immense Premier League experience under his belt, managing Brighton and Chelsea. But will he get the best out of Kudus and the Hammers?
Now that's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Lishen, and entertainment is up next with Anita.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by
Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Powered by 3 Entertainment. Welcome to the entertainment news on News 360. My name is Anita Ekia Ikufo, and ahead of the grand finale of Mentor Season 13 this Sunday, talented singer Jimmy has promised to give his all, vowing to put his best foot forward and steal the show.
In all my years of being a mentor, nobody's ever made it like rain roses.
So, excellent performance.
This is your boy Wena James John Elvis. I go with the stage name Jimmy. I'm a singer-songwriter. I do Afrobeats, R&B, cools. You've seen me throughout the competition, how I give you sweet melodies, the cools, I bring you the silky voice on stage and all that. I'm also a producer. I play the keyboard, I play the bass guitar, just to add to my craft.
Just like his fellow contenders, Jimmy, often praised for his silky voice, has set out to showcase his musical journey and secure the top prize.
For the past 13 weeks, starting, I was a bit shaky from the start, but then taking the criticisms from the judges and then working on myself, taking time to analyze what I've been told. I think all those criticisms and the lessons I've learned from all these 13 weeks have groomed me and has challenged me to become a better artist.
He loves his melodies, he loves his tones, and he has a very, very rich voice. All Jimmy needs to do is be able to hone his craft even better than he has. I like the way with every performance that he comes on stage to do, he thinks of a way to add to the stagemanship, to be able to showcase what he's brought. He needs to grow more and more in that and keep using his smooth voice to wow the ladies.
For Jimmy, his first participation in Mentor has been an invaluable learning experience. He has embraced the feedback and critiques from judges, using them to refine his artistry and performance.
So, as an artist, the one thing that I'll take home from these 13 weeks is I have developed skillmanship when it comes to performing with live band. I know how to sing on stage, how to control my stage movements, how to interact on TV. It's all been a grooming session for me. So I'll say all these 13 weeks has just built me up to become a better artist and a better person for the media space.
As the grand finale approaches on Sunday, January 12th, Jimmy is confident that his hard work and improvement will shine through, bringing him one step closer to claiming the ultimate prize.
Expect the absolute best from me. I'm coming with my A game and I'm coming to have fun on stage and just have a good time with the audience and my family, my friends, my supporters, everyone who will be there. I'm just coming to have a good time with you, enjoy myself, and then if God permits and I'm destined for the crown, we'll take the crown home.
Well, the race is still on, and to keep your favorite all the way to the top, keep voting for him to win the ultimate. My name is Anita Ekia Ekufu. Have a good evening.
Now let's bring you a wrap of this evening's international news.
Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara said he would consider seeking a fourth term in office later this year if his party backed his candidacy. Ouattara's ruling Rally of Hopefuls for Democracy and Peace Party said last year that it wanted him to be its candidate in October 2025 elections. The party in May said Ouattara was its natural candidate in the 2025 presidential elections. Under Ivory Coast law, presidents are only allowed to serve 2 terms, but Ouattara's RHDP has argued that a new constitution adopted in 2016 wiped his slate clean, an assertion upheld by the country's top judicial body in 2020. Ouattara won a 3rd term in October of that year, securing 94% of the vote after the opposition boycotted the contest. The public prosecutor in charge says a foiled attack on the presidential compound overnight was carried out by a group of 24 armed, ill-intentioned individuals who were neutralized by security forces. Investigations have been launched to identify all instigators and accomplices. The prosecutor said in a statement, the attack comes at a delicate time for Chad. The country recently scrapped a defense cooperation pact with France that has made it a key Western ally in the fight against jihadist militants in West and Central Africa's Sahel region.
Well, that's how we conclude News 360. Thanks very much for watching. For more news, you can log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Kwesi Asare.
And I'm Aisha Yakubu Khalid. Ghana Tonight comes up at 10 p.m. with Alfredo Kansi.